We've got two professional disc recorders to look at today. These are Sony PDW-1500, and the camera angle was not very kind to them. Here's the front. Both of these were in unknown condition. They're both the same model. And we tried one of them in a previous video. I don't know which one that was. Today we'll try them both out, see whether they work or not, and then we'll take a look inside. So these things take the Sony professional disc that we looked at a bit in the previous video. It's like a Blu-ray disc, but protected and different. Similar technology to a Blu-ray disc, but for professional video recording. So these things here have I think these were aimed to replace the traditional tape VCRs with something that's a bit more random access. So this has all the normal controls that you'd find on a DV cam or Betacam SP or other type of VCR. Jog shuttle. Interesting, it has got separate jog shuttle, because a lot of Sony stuff doesn't. They combine it into one, which you annoyingly push in to switch between modes. Let's have a look at what's on the back of these. It's quite heavy and doesn't fit on the bench very easily. They also have at least 3 fans in them. 1, 2, 3, which is not very nice because it means they're going to be loud. So on the back there, standard RS422 remote for editing controllers. There's Ethernet, Firewire. I think these ones are standard definition. So yeah, just standard definition. Got digital audio inputs and outputs. Then we've got SDI in, out, and output with superimposed on it. Timecode in and out. Then there's reference, video sync, composite video in, composite video out, one with superimposed for a monitor. Then balanced audio in and out, and an audio monitor out. Alright, I'm going to set these up so that we can turn them on and see what happens. They've got a proper power switch on the back there, but then there's also a latching type power button eject. Quite a strong feeling cover there. Alright, we'll set this up and we'll try and get this camera into a nice position where we can see the front of the machine, and we'll try turning them on. Now, I didn't think about it. We've got a bit of a conflict of interest because this camera here is on the SDI input, which is what I wanted to join this up to. So I think what we'll do instead is join the output of this machine to composite video, and then we can have them both going at the same time. Composite with superimposing. We'll just power both of these up in turn, see what happens. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, the power switch was already on, was it? It's welcome. Welcome. Oh, I forgot to look at the output, didn't we? Ah. No, error 95101. Also, it seems like nothing comes out of the composite output. Unless that's selected to look at something else at the moment. It is. For some reason it's switched to... Weird. I don't know why. For some reason that decided to change to a different input. Anyway, look at that. It says an error has been detected. Yeah. Okay. We'll try the tape in it and see what happens. Oh, the tape? It's a disc. It says record inhibit. Local controls. It doesn't seem to be very active, does it? That's a bit disappointing. Oh no, it is playing. It's just hard to see because there's no counter there. The control panel on this seems to be a bit falling offy. So you can sort of, well, you can see we recorded that onto the disc last time with that camera, and yeah, it's showing a frame, but that's it. So I guess this one's in not very good shape. Perhaps this is a good candidate for taking apart. Maybe it won't even give the disc back now. Okay. Maybe we just turn it off. I think it's hooped. Let's just start unscrewing the cover on this while we wait for it to give back the disc. Guessing this wasn't the one we tried last time, because the one last time seemed more cooperative. I'm guessing they're both wrecked then, because why else would they be being thrown out? That's how I got them. Do we just power cycle it then? With the switch on the back? Possibly not very good while it's saying access on the screen. Come on. That's not fair. I wanted to use the disc to test the other one, because it's the only disc I've got that's got stuff on it. Alright, okay, that one's wrecked. The disc is now stuck in there. One of the things we were thinking of, or I was thinking of, is the disc mechanism in this thing the same as what was in that video camera that we took apart? I've got that mechanism just sitting right there. So if it is the same, then we could try swapping it over. I guess we're taking this... Well, the disc's stuck in this thing, so we're going to look inside it regardless. Let's just put it out of the way and try the other machine. I was starting to set up a video source so that we could try recording. I guess we could just use the camera there, because that's a source of video. I don't think it has Firewire though. Well, this camera here is currently sitting on a DV cam recorder, so I was going to use that as the video source, dodgily leaning on stuff as you do. Same error code, isn't it? Wonder if these things have a common type of fault. Get out a new disk then, since we've lost the one. So this is blank, so let's see if we can get this one stuck in there. Well, there's nothing on the disk, so I don't know what we're doing. It says input is SDI. Let's see. It's composite signal generator. Okay, so maybe we can record. Oh yeah, it's possibly recording at the moment. It's making all the right noises. So if we stop that and we change the input to not the signal generator. Oops. Oh, video input there. And now if we push rewind it, look at that. Stop, play. So that is recording onto the disc. I bet this one will give the disc back. Look at that. So even though that has an error, it does seem to work to seem to work to some degree. So let's see what other types of connections this camera has, whether we can use one of those as a recording source just for fun. Yes, it's got a composite video output plug on it. I don't even know what stuff it has. I'm just going to set this up a bit better because it's not working at the moment. Okay, got a cable. Couldn't find the nice cables, they're hiding somewhere else. So we'll put that in as composite input, and then we can choose that video input select, campsite, composite. Now if we push record, does it go? There must be more to do to enable that. No? I thought that would be outputting a signal now. Let's find another adapter to test that. Guessing the amazing plan has fallen through and that this isn't video out for some reason. No, it's just black. Alright then. We'll go to the other plan. I'm going to try juicing up that the DV cam machine that's sitting under here being used as a camera stand currently. And I got a Firewire cable so that we can connect them together. Firewire, remember that thing? Firewire, wherever that goes. And we're going to choose that as the input. Video input select. iLink. Now on the other machine we're going to make sure that that's not the input as well, that it's on a different input. Yeah, that's fine. Now we're going to find a tape or something on it. DV cam tape. Good, let's try that. Alright, we've got a video source now. Doesn't look like it's coming through though, does it? Does it come up with an... Well, it's possible that this is in NTSC mode, is it? Well, because the thing that's playing is PAL, so it's not going to work, is it? Let's just see. I don't know how to use the menu on this thing. System menu. Oh, I have no idea. I thought you could change these things to hour meter. Maybe this control panel's bent. I don't know. I don't know why it's not picking up the video input. It's definitely playing. Well, I guess now we can take the composite from this VCR and put it into the thing. That would be easier, wouldn't it? Now we've put it to composite input. Look, there you go. That does work. It just doesn't... Okay. Put the disc in. What? It says illegal record? Is that what that means? Have they got macrovision or something? What does it say? Encoding does not synchronize with ref video. Oh. Alright, so both of these machines are quite uncooperative. Did it record it though? It did. Did sort of record something? Because, yeah, that's not coming from the source. Anyway, I think that's probably enough fiddling around. We'll take apart the other machine because that's clearly more ruined than this one. And we'll have a look inside it and see what's in there. Okay, I'll get rid of these. Get rid of this thing. What a hassle trying to get that to do anything useful with a video input. I don't know why I didn't like... Maybe it doesn't support DV format, it only supports DV cam. I suppose that's possible for a professional device. Yeah, the DV cam machine is very unhappy by the sound of it. Let's just take a look at it while we're here. That little guy, the DSR-25, I think? DSR-45. Yes, it seems a bit grumpy about things now, doesn't it? That's a shame. That thing was a pretty nice high-end machine. Well, high-end? I don't know. High-end for DV cam, DV maybe. Alright, we lost our good disc in this thing, so we're going to take it apart. Find out what's in it. Okay, it might not be easy. Oh, okay, I think the disc mechanism in this is quite a bit different. You see that? Quite a industrial looking enclosure thing there. And look, there's a bung. Oh, maybe that's the... Aha. That's probably the way of getting the disc out if it's not going to cooperate. Yes, it is. The little door is opening there. Ah, so we could have just done that. Alright. Well, we're still taking this apart. I don't even know where to start with this. I suppose there's a service manual. We could look up the codes and things, the error codes. Look at that, like IDE cable type deal there. Amazing, remember that? 80-pin IDE cables? Is it possible that the interface to the disk drive thing is IDE? That's totally an IDE cable. Anything's possible. Remember that other thing we looked in that had hard disks in it? That was a similar form factor to this thing. Hard disk VCR thing. There's a little panel thing on the bottom as well. Some kind of capacitor thing. Where's the ultra capacitors? Super capacitors? They've been installed so that they're, label, there you go, 4.7 farad, 2.5 volts, probably in series. Yeah, it must be a memory backup thing. Well, it was, not anymore. But also there's a battery in there, small battery. Does this control panel thing come off? Okay. It's very dusty. Those fans must work then. Wow, look at that. The front there is like a machined down aluminum surface or cast alloy stuff. This thing is pretty heavy. So we just need to undo these two and then the disc mechanism will come out. Looks like it. Shielding plate thing. Look at that. It's that same weird warning message, isn't it? Where it's different depending on what current country you're in. Laser radiation when on, do not stare into beam for USA. For Europe, class 1M laser radiation when open, do not view directly with optical instruments. But you're allowed to stare into it, presumably. Well, it says, no, it just says don't view directly with optical instruments. Alright. Okay, so we'll pull that out again, or was that not related? Yes. Unplugging that. Quite a big deal. Power connections there, latched for your protection, and then there's some other little cable thing. So could you just put this drive in your computer then and hook it up with IDE? Or have they just conveniently used an IDE cable? Look at all that stuff. Look at that. 2 Xilinxes, a Sony's, and a whole bunch of these things. I'll take a closer look at that in a while, but look what's on this thing. Look at that, it's got 3 Altera Apex, 2 TMS 320, a Sony thing, another Sony thing, one of those things. That's serious business. Because the disk drive is a little bit different. Just a little bit. Seems very serious. Oh, look at that. And that's a heat spreader over, presumably, yeah, heaps more ICs under there. Wow. Interesting how it's so well sealed up. Alright, should we save that till later? And first we'll take a look through all these different boards that are in here. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do. We just follow the arrows, but we also have to undo a bunch on the back probably, because all the screws, well, all the connectors have little plastic surround things on them that are screwed in to the back, so that when you're putting the connecting and disconnecting the plugs, cables, wires, whatever, it is not causing problems. Well, you're not bending the what a mess. So that when you're connecting and disconnecting the cables at the back, you're not putting leverage onto the soldered connections. I guess the bottom layer is a power supply, since that cable there came from the bottom. Okay, I had a lot of trouble undoing the screws at the back there that were going into the XLR plugs, and there's something stripping out on them because, yeah, it's left some of the turns. They must be into a very soft, it's probably the alloy surround thing of the connectors. Yeah, I also think that some of my JIS screwdrivers, they're getting a little bit worn from being used a lot. Oh, there's another bracket thing. Yeah, I was just wondering while I was undoing those screws, looking at this stuff, these analog devices. I wonder if that's actually digital to analog converters for driving the video outs, the composite video outs. Could be. We're gonna have to look them up. But then the video in, this one here, it's a very like transmission liney looking thing going across there. Alright, look at this. It's really interesting because that's the video in, that's the reference in. You see, it looks kind of like they go to the same place there. That little tiny square thing, maybe that's a video signal switch, and it chooses where the reference comes from, whether it's from the ref in or from the video in connector. I also think that the video in goes into this thingy. You can see that the two video outs, because there's the one with the superimposing and the one without it, seem to each come from one of these chips. And those chips connect up by a bunch of tracks. Let's look those things up. We'll have a go at least. So we got here an EW0300 AKST, a high-speed digital to analog encoder, a multi-format standard definition progressive HD TV. So this thing here, EW0129, multi-format standard definition or progressive scan HD TV video encoder with 6 NSV 12-bit DACs. Yeah, I don't know what the input signal is for that. I think, yeah, it's pixels, so it's digital, like a digital data stream coming in, and then it turns it into composite. Alright, well, that makes sense. I guess it's a digital machine, so everything's going to be done digitally, and to get a composite output you need to convert it to analog using one of the chips. Let's have a look at what this thing here is. It says on that XV750 CG1. That is some kind of somewhat unspecified thing. It has a website on it, iix.co.jp. I don't know. Well, the website's in Japanese. It says cool cutting edge technology that drives the future. It's a very marketing looking site. Well, you can look up those things in your spare time if you would like to find out more information. So next down on the pile we've got the audio I/O board. And interesting, there are some switches, if that's for the input level or impedance. So that's on the audio inputs. Doubt it would have phantom power. It might be to change between line and microphone level, maybe, or just gain. Same thing. This thing was probably expensive when it was new and worked. Audio I/O board, XLRs and the monitor connector. There's some things on there. I wonder if that's digital to analog converters, or maybe it's something else. There seems to be one for every set of channels. AKM. Let's look at that thing first. It says AK4324VF. A bit digital to analog converter. Bit. I think that's shortened. It comes up on DigiKey. 24-bit. Yeah, it's a DAC. Digital to analog converter. Okay, so that's for the outputs. Yeah, so that one there's a different part number. That's a 5352. I'm guessing it's just the opposite thing, isn't it? So that one is a ADC 96 kilohertz sampling 20-bit for DAT DVD. Alright, so there's ADCs and DACs and a bunch of op amps and things there. So I wonder what those thingies are. I guess that's just like a balanced line driver, I guess, presumably. SSM2142. Should be putting the data sheets on the screen. Haven't got time for that today. Maybe it's a different number. Well, it's got 3 rows of numbers on it. SSM2. Oh, I put the wrong thing in there. I put 5, not 2. Yes, it is that. It's a SSM2142 as a balanced line driver. 10 volts RMS into a 600 ohm load. Stable when driving large capacitive loads and long cables. So it's the perfect device for doing that. It's quite an exciting thing there. I wonder what data format those ADCs use. It's a 2's complement MSB first data. So it's a serial thing. There might be ways of configuring what the data format is, like I2S or whatever the thingies are. Alright, I think this might be the last board before we get to the power supply. No, look at that, there's an Ethernet connector in there. Okay, there's more stuff. I think, well, I don't know. I think this slides out somehow, because there is, you see that piece there? It's a little metal bracket that's screwed onto the board from the underside. There's another one there, and so that would be preventing it from sliding out backwards. They've already undone the screws there. It's weird, isn't it? There's a riveted spring clip thing there that's blocking access to that screw. That's not a good sign. Or maybe you're supposed to take the side panels off, because that is all... Let's just do it anyway. At least taking that one off will allow the front panel to come off. It's probably something we need to do, so we can investigate that. Unfortunately, going to run out of time today, so we might have to continue looking at this tomorrow. Oh, there's some serious business under there. You can see a big heatsink there. Big heatsink? Reasonable heatsink. Now it says here that it needs to have the back taken off because it's got some arrows pointing to that, to a screw there, though only to one. Oh, hang on. That thing that I thought was hooked over there isn't, it's just a return on the metalwork. I think this might slide out. I don't really understand how, because there's another screw there that is blocked by a metalwork. And it's got an arrow pointing to it, so we're supposed to undo it, but we can't get to it. Unless it comes out together. Yeah, I think it does. I think the whole, yeah, that screw bracket thing that I thought was going through the side is actually going up to this back panel. So I think that will come out. Maybe we need to take the front off to reduce the loading from that connector there. Oh, that's not the front. That's another thing. Oh, it's a back plane. Whoops. Okay. Oh no, I ripped those cables out. The wires came out of the thing instead of the header pulling out. Oh well. Dirty control panel. All dusty. All dust in the nice switches and things. Just get this out so we can have a look at the VFD and the other bits and pieces. Okay, here's a nice control panel. Good quality buttons. That multi-jog shuttle controller. Good lit up buttons. Toggle switches with heaps of dust crusting all over them. Nice VFD. And on the back, it's a power supply for VFD. Be all that business there. And then some kind of processor for scanning the keys and maybe driving the screen as well. Maybe. Although, yeah, there's something under there, because can't see any tracks there going towards that thing. So it might have whatever that is as like a segment driver type thing. Well, this might be one of those ones that's got shift register things in on the glass, and then, nah. I mean, looking in there, I can see that there's a lot of tracks coming off the back of those pins of the display. So it is parallel driven. Yeah, look at that. There's a thingy there, OK, which is joining up to displays. That's probably some like SPI to VFD display driver chippy or similar. Oh yeah, look at that. Whoa, look at all that. It's got like a whole computer under there. A RAM, CPU looking thing. Intel business. Wow. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? And another one of those T-Via things. Cyber Pro. Oh, it's really going hard out. And then look at that. Big, long, skinny power supply. You get that thing out as well. We're going to have to pull all these boards off and look at them. Whoa, look at that. What a nice long little thingy. Aha, you see that third fan there, angled in there. Get this chassis thing out of the way. Oh yeah, so that's mainly just a power distribution thing on the front. Power supply connects in, brings it over to those leads for the disk drive part, and then just connecting from that ribbon cable on the front onto that for the display and control panel. Now, how do we get this thing apart? Oh, yes, that will slide back. Oh, look at that. Discrete wired connector. That's pretty exciting. Look at all that. All the grounds there. And just bend that over and check that cap to make sure that it's not charged up before we go touching, although it's pretty unlikely because it was running at the time. Yeah, it's fine. 14 millivolts. Good. Just to be safe. Yeah, so there's heat sinking onto the side of this, even though it's just steel. Double insulating the wires that go over to the fan. Good, because they go past the mains voltage sections. And look at that. Integrated switch power supply controller thingy with voltage creepages. And then that will be the main switching transistors driving the transformer. Everything's lovely, isn't it? Oh, it's got a PFC boost stage on it, isn't it? That thing there, with those, then that makes the DC bus. And then there's a secondary, well, the switcher, main switcher for the isolated power supply. That's good. They care for your power factor. And also that allows it to have a wide input range and a very efficient switcher, because the switcher is then designed to run off a specific narrow voltage range, so it can do so very well. Because that boost converter will give it what it needs. Now we've got to pull these things off. There'll be diodes. Well, it might be FETs if it's active rectified. That there will be a diode and a FET. Noise filter there, double pole switch, all the good stuff. Which way does this thing come out? No ways. There we go. Look at that. Interesting that they wire the connector rather than having it PCB mount, but I guess that makes the board PCB layout easier. So what do we have here? Oh, they're just diodes. No synchronous rectifiers, just diodes. Oops. It's interesting that they put these boots over the devices, even though those are insulated, but it'll be instead of using heatsink paste, so they can get a good thermal connection, though it wouldn't be as good as using paste. Yes, that is just a diode, and then there will be the FET for the booster, little tiny control chip there for the boost converter. Not sure what it is. 33262 potentially. And then that thing, that's quite a nice integrated thing. Says something on it. A Shindingen. Pretty good power supply. Look at that, voltage sensing. Oh, so there's additional switch modes on the output stage. So I guess that's a potentially a one output. I know it's got two by the look of it. One that's like a push-pull center tap thingy, and another one, so it must produce two voltages. And I guess one of them is regulated, like the main rail, and then a sub rail is then post-regulated with these other converters to make some other things. Yeah, to make other things. So it's a PS5120, so that's the same as what we saw in that other in the video camera power supply board, isn't it? And there's another one over here using something else, that smaller one, because that's that two-phase jobby. There's that thing there, TL1451. Lots of good stuff on the power supply. That's very interesting. Now we might have to leave it there and come back tomorrow to look at this thing. Look at all that stuff. That's crazy. It's like a whole computer. It's so strange. Is it strange? I don't know. It just seems like a lot of stuff for a VCR. Is the professional disc quite a difficult thing to record and play back from? Is it because it's treated like a hard disk, basically? File access type thing. That's the Ethernet PHY. That's an Intel one. This is the Ethernet plug there. Intel Ethernet. We can't get that off because we're going to have to take the thumb screws off. Munch that off with this. Oh yeah, look at that. Nut driver. It's slightly too big, but good enough. Okay. So it looks like that does multiple jobs, doesn't it? It looks like the Ethernet stuff, don't know, connects on that, and then this graphics processor thing connects on that down to there. That's, yeah, mag jack type thing, whatever. Pulse jack. It's got the Ethernet isolation transformer built into it. 100 megabits. See, there's only two pairs, a transmit and a receive. Now, next layer down, we've got this whole computer-like thing. But that's not the connection that went to the disk drive. That's the one down here. It's got power, main reset, RSM reset. Is this some kind of single board computer thing? Seems like it. It's got its own Ethernet. I wonder if that's like a 486 or something. Some kind of processor. Don't know, I'm guessing it's some 86 thing because it's all Intel stuff. Well, it even has USB headers there. 2 places for USB. It's looking more computer-like as time goes on. So some custom Sony single board computer thing. Get the RAM out and look at it. What is that? PC133, 256 megabytes. Wow. So PC133, that's like the Super Socket 7 kind of era, isn't it? When there was things that were kind of Pentiums, but sort of Pentium 2s. We'll take the heatsink off this device here, and we'll see what it is. These pins. Wow, that was very tightly installed. I think it's a Pentium 3, something like that. That's crazy. Has it got Windows on it? Where's the hard disk? I made a mess of that. Yeah, there you go. Look, the heatsink's come off. Not particularly willingly. And I've lost that little thing in the process. So what is this? Maybe we can work it out. The chipset. I've forgotten all this stuff. I used to know some of these things. See, that says there PCI-A. So it must have that as a PCI bus that joins onto that graphic processor thing. So what's this? It seems like it's 400 megahertz. Guessing it will be some kind of Celeron thing. I don't know the codes. SL6SE Intel processor. It's an embedded Celeron 400 megahertz. Well, there you go. It's got some kind of computer in it. Presumably boots from a ROM, which is hiding somewhere. So that has another connector. That must be another. Yeah, it says there B and P, PCI B. So there's 2 PCI slots, and that one goes down onto this main board down here, which then has all this business on it. Wow, I wonder if we can get Windows 95 installed on this thing. Maybe. Well, that's quite likely then that there is an IDE connector. It doesn't seem to be written. See, that says EPR. What is that? Config. That's VGA. Wow. It actually has, I guess it's the VGA inside the chipset thing. Onboard video. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Must be a label somewhere that I can't see. I think it's just IDE because it's missing that pin there, like IDE is. I don't know, do you think we should join? Wow, how we work out the pin out of that and try and join a monitor onto it? Interesting thing. Really interesting thing. Unusual and unexpected discoveries inside this thing. Who would have thought it has a whole Celeron 400 megahertz computer in it? And we have this thing. Just similar, another TMS320 similar to what we saw before in the other video camera. The Xilinx Spartan FPGA. Not a lot going on the bottom. The very nice supply bypassing capacitors there, right close to the pins. Similar on that DSP chip. Good bypassing. Memory. We've got these grunty Xilinx, presumably they'll have Vertex FPGAs, and then a whole bunch of these chips here, the DVC5. I wonder if they're just some kind of memory, certain type of memory where it will buffer the data from the disk or to the disk, or is it some kind of processor thing? DVC541 says it's a it's a digital signal processor and controller. Really? So there's that many of them? 8? Yeah, it says right there, look, record and playback DSP JTAG, and it says LRZ DSP JTAG. They're probably just in a JTAG chain all joined together. There's a whole bunch of LEDs coming off that one. So it's all signal processing. Wow. What an amazing thing. And there's a bunch of Sony chips down there for doing the SDI inputs and outputs. There's another Intel thingy there. Oh, it is, look at that. So the connector that goes to the disk drive says ATA. So it is like an IDE interface, an ATA interface. CPU JTAG, lattice JTAG. Must be a lattice CPLD thing somewhere on this. We're going to pause here and come back the next day, and we're going to take a look inside this disk drive thing. Since it's IDE, you can just join that up to your computer and use it. Highly unlikely. Well, it's got that extra connector there for some other kind of I/O and control. Alright, we'll pop back and take this thing apart. Back once again. Now we're going to take a look inside the disk drive assembly, this thing, for the professional disk recorder, and see what's inside this quite enticing looking box. Now I did have a look already about, well, I wanted to find out what the error codes were that we saw, and oops, I couldn't find any information. Well, it doesn't, oh, that's broken now, oh well. I couldn't find a service manual. All I could find was other people asking for a service manual. It doesn't appear that there is a readily available service manual for this model. I don't know why, because quite a lot of other equipment does have service manuals available. So let's take off this board first and have a look what's on the other side, and also we want to look at what's under those plates. It does say on there, this is the ATA PLD, this is the SV PLD, this is the SV DSP, another SV DSP, and an SV PLD, an SY CPU, a DM, another DM, and there's a WP under there by the look of it, whatever that is. And so this machine does have two optical assemblies, or something like that. They said in the specifications, like two lasers going at the same time, so that it can do twice as fast. Oh, that's difficult. There are more ribbon cables under that. How are you supposed to hook that up? There are ribbon cables there and there. I'm guessing you got to do it from the inside this thing, and then feed them in, seal it up. Okay, so we're going to go in here first then. Yeah, presumably the reason why this is all so sealed up is because you don't want any dust in there. When the disc is put in and it's opened up, the caddy is opened up, you don't want dust going in there, you don't want dust getting on the lasers, the lens. So that'll be why this thing is so sealed up. Quite a heavy lid. It's just steel. Maybe why it's such a satisfying door to open and close. That looks pretty similar, but bigger than the other one. See, here's the other one. Like that. And I'm guessing, oh, the magnet from the spindle hub thing. So there must be a similar procedure then for taking this one off, where you undo some screws, this top, and get access to the bit down below. So that's a door opening system. Yes, and then this one with a captive screw. Yeah, that's where we were reaching in to do the emergency eject. Ah, and the little pulley down there is cracked. So this is suffering from, well, age-related deficiencies. So there's a crack down the edge of the pulley there. So yeah, that won't be having such a good grip on the motor as it once did. I'm not sure if that's what's causing the problem though. Look at this. 2 laser mechanisms with their own motors, so it can dual read. That's quite exciting. And then similar shock mount type thingies, but 6 of them this time. Oh yeah, so it's those cables there that are going to the underside of that board. And so we have to unplug those from this end. Okay. Oh, it's the type that you lift up. Lift it up and then the cable can slide out. Somewhat counterintuitive. And that means then by peeling open these bunghole things, bung covers, now the board will come off. Oh, except it's stuck. Look what was on the other side. That's the same ribbon cable as before, isn't it? Look, more, well, another Altera Apex things. So there's 4 of those in total. More Sony things, various RAM looking things. Now we can get to the screws to take off that heatsink plate, and then we'll see what's on the other side. Or no, then we'll see what's under it. Okay, so that's a SYS PLD, a GNR, another GNR, a SYS PLD. Now let's look under this. Doesn't really tell us much though, because they're all more Sony things. Oh, it's got some high-speed tracks though. Must be doing good stuff. That goes down to there, which goes on this ribbon. Yeah, 2 here there, with grounds each side by the look of it. So that must be special stuff to do with driving and receiving from the laser, or from the receiving part of the laser. I've also got these little like SMA style connectors there. I wonder if that's for putting some measuring equipment onto, for configuring or setting it up or tuning it. Well, there you go, that's another pretty interesting board. Yeah, and on this thing, just stepping back to what we looked at before, yeah, it's an Intel 815 chipset, so it's a Pentium 3 era of Celeron there, 400 megahertz, and it's also got there, I noticed, an AC97 connector, so audio chipset would go on there, and the USBs, you need to solder the cap and ferrite bead to make those work, although probably just put a short across the ferrite bead and they might work. The VGA, which also I think needs filters, because of that arrangement there of the filters, there's a group of 3, then a group of 2, you can probably work out that that's RGB, and that's that horizontal and vertical, quite likely. There's a 15 pin plug, well, header, not necessarily going to match to a 15 pin VGA, but you never know. I'm wondering if I should try powering this thing up and see if we can get it to do something. Although I wonder if it would need a PS2 connection in order to like talk to it with a keyboard and mouse. I don't know, I don't think BIOSes could deal with USB peripherals back in the day, could they? Not sure about that, certainly not in the BIOS. So it might not have the PS2 interface on it. Not really sure where that comes from. It has got the LPC, low pin count bus, I think it's called. I don't know, I have to think about that. I might have a go at powering it up and see if there's any signals coming on to this VGA to determine whether it would be worth trying to join a monitor onto it. It's just too exciting to not try and make it do something. Get Windows 98 installed on it or something like that. One more. Is it locating post thingies? Is it for the cartridge? Oh yeah, I think so. It's probably those. Do they go on that? Yeah. Okay. Ah, now we have to debung these. the debunging. And then peel the ribbon cable off the other side. There you go, now it's free. Oh, look at that, more fans. Well, fans. Nice little fans. Those little shock mount thingies. And even like little grill to stop big ball bearings getting sucked into it. Pretty nice die cast housing thing. Probably not cheap to get that done. Interesting. Alright, final bit to have a look at. And while we're here, we should compare this to the other one to see, are these the same? Looks like they might be. Maybe the problem was that one of these has failed and so it could hobble by using the other one. Is that possible? Like a plausible kind of thing that could happen to it? If there's part numbers, this KES number maybe? Yeah, it says KES110. So I guess they are the same thing. Same kind of motor that drives them. And there's a little, well there was, a little rubber thing at the end of the travel so it doesn't hit something too badly. Guess we're taking this all apart. Yeah, look at that thing. I wonder if that's a little like gyro thing so it knows whether it's being shaken around or not. It does look like that type of device, doesn't it? Gyro thingy. Oh, there's another screw over there I didn't see. And a little moisture sensor again. I know what the problem is with this getting moist. It's not going to be like a VCR where the tape will start sticking to the head. No, we have to get that out. No, wrong one. This one. Okay. So we're going to take one of these apart now to have a look at what's in there. Interesting sensing thingies. Oh, look at that. Other like position sensing stuff in there. As this spindle motor comes off. Yeah. Ah, there's all this business that has to come off. What is that? It's just an arrangement of switches for sensing something in the disc. Okay. Second one of those guys out. Oh yeah. A screw there for anti-backlash. Well, the two different thingies sprung together, two racks for anti-backlash. This little screw here stops them from coming off. Yes. Cunning. Yeah, these kind of sled things. Oh, they're actually different. That's got a much longer one there. Was that one able to travel further? It looks like it because, see, the rods are different lengths. So that was a smaller travel one, so maybe, yeah, it couldn't have survived with just one laser assembly active unless it's the long travel one. Okay, we want to take this board out and have a look at that. Oh no, the motor lost its little, the stiffener sheet thing fell off as it got stuck. And now it's upside down. Yeah, the sticky went bad on that, I think. Hey, we did pull this apart in the last one, didn't we? Oh, you can see the magnet in the center there. Yeah, pretty good quality motor. Okay. Yeah, motors. That's that sensor, well, switches array thing. Its own little plate. That sheet of stuff. Now, this board. which doesn't have much going on, just a little bit of logic and a motor driver for something. And it's not the spindle driver, because that is PDL spindle. Goes straight onto here, and they share 3 pins of this cable per phase of the motor. And it looks like the sensing from the motor goes onto this one. What's called sensor. Yeah, power and sensor. Okay. Some other motor driver, maybe that drives the sled motors, or the Seek motors, they call it. Seek 1, Seek 0. Okay. And look at those long light interrupter thingies. There must be, yeah, that. It can detect the end of travels in 2 zones. It says 8 centimeter out, 8 centimeter EX. This one says out EX and out 1. Out. Oh, it says out and ins for the LED side and the... No, it's not, because it's got an LED and a sensor on both sides, so it's ESC out, out, in. Anyway, I was just wondering if maybe this shape here, they make some of the other circuit boards in that panel area, like that one, but it doesn't look like it because that's a really thin, flimsy one, whereas this is a thicker board, maybe? See the brushes for cleaning the lens. Oh, that one only folds once the disc is in, maybe? Or when something else is happening. Folds up out of the way. Yeah, there's a thing blocking that. So something else will have to happen before it will get out of the way. That's quite a substantial assembly there. Right, we come down to this. The last little bit. Which might also be holding in things. So all just fall apart. Oh, look at that. So, there's the prism mirror thing which reflects the beam up towards the final lens there. And there's this tiny little motor there that can move this lens here in and out. And then there's another beam splitter type thing. See down there's a line, so it can shine through there, and on the return it gets reflected back, and then off that edge up to here. Yeah, I think that's the right direction, because there's the laser itself, so that shines directly through, and then the return path is over here, and there's some kind of lens thingies in there. Oh no, it's more complicated than that. Look, there's another lens thingy in there, like a prism thingy. Maybe there's a beam splitter again for a like power measuring device, so it can tune it. I don't really know how much about this optical business. Let's just undo all the screws and take a look. Some quite solid things in there. I wonder what these black coloured things are. I'm not sure what it's made out of. Some very hard plastic maybe? Oh, it's Torx screws on the ends there for where the laser is and the pickup. Let's see, is there more pickups underneath that on the PCB side? There's one there. It's got its own lens, and that comes back to there. But then there's also that cable there going to something. Needs a screwdriver with a thinner shaft. Oh, that's a 00. Well, I guess somewhere will be the connection to the focusing coils. Maybe that's what that connector does. Let's see, we're going to get out some other tools to get that. The micro Torx thingies. Okay, it's not that micro. T4. Okay. There's the receiver. Like laser reflection receiver-inator. Interesting. And this, the laser one's actually glued on. Oh, we're gonna have to pull all this out as well, because that cable bends around there. Make a right mess of this. Now that there's a home sensor there as well, but we also have to get off all this business. Okay, now that comes out and that exposes the screw that holds the motor down. Okay, so that's peeled out. Oh, look at that. That goes down to the end. Now what's next? Oh, there's actually more sensor thingies. That's what that wire there, what that wire was going to, is another sensing thing that's in there, inside that. And we've got to take this lens thingy out as well. It's got a cover over it though, making it hard to access. It's been glued on. Probably doesn't come off. You see, it's just cracking the plastic. Okay, it came off. Now what's next? This one over here. Is that another laser thing, or is that? Might be. Now the main laser. Now we need some kind of tweaking device to break the glue on that. Okay. Laser diode. Interesting, that has one connection. Just one, so the ground will be through the housing, presumably. Don't know why they did that. It says one double-sided flex? Don't know. Weird. Comes out of the mid layer of that board. It kind of looks like there's a split in the ground for it to come through. Presumably that's the laser driver there. And then there's the main pickup thingy. And then there's that other one here, which might be another laser, maybe, I don't know. It's got a heatsink, well, it looks like a heatsink thing around it, so it could be. Then there's another receiving device there, and there's those sensors, the coils for the focusing of the lens, magnets that have picked up all the stuff, that little motor there. Keep going out of frame because I'm looking at it. The end sensor for that extra focusing thing. So many goodies. And then what we left behind in this was another type of sensor thing in there. It's inside that thing. Oh, it comes out. Look at that. I wonder what that is. Some kind of sensor thing in this glass. There we go, it came out. Maybe that's like a little LCD panel. Possible, is it? That it can control its darkness and it kind of like the LCD panel works, maybe. And then what we're left with in here, somewhere a lens came out that was adjusted by that little motor. Oh yeah, that's here. Little tiny lens. And yeah, various other lenses, prismy type things, beam splitters, and then whatever these ones are, which is other types of lenses mounted in a like a thing, a housing. Looks like quite a powerful lens. Another one in here. It's got kind of gooey glue on it, so it comes out without that much difficulty. Another good lens. Ah yeah, okay, so that thing there that I was looking at is now out. It does have an output down the bottom, so it could direct some of the beam down to that thing, which is probably part of the control loop that's running it. Last screw there, just for a little tiny bit of shaft, tiny little thing, which that lens rode on. Oh, there you go. I think we've reached the end. Got down to the fine little details. So that concludes the look at the Sony PDW-1500 professional disc recorder. Full teardown of this one that had some kind of problems and wouldn't give the disc back. And yeah, if I do ever get around to trying to power this thing up, we'll make another video about that. That might never happen because of all the other stuff that goes on all of the time and all of the other things that I've got to poke about and make videos about. Hope that was interesting. Definitely was quite a lot of interesting components in there and interesting assemblies, interesting circuit boards. Hours of fun. See you next time.